We're going to use the same image we used just a moment ago, but after I applied the softening and the skin texture, so the after image that we did earlier. And I'm going to look at another thing that's very, very popular to do, especially right now, because photo retouching it has its trends like everything else. Just like there's special effects that we do in Photoshop, and sometimes there's the really hot effects that everyone's doing, and then they kind of become passé. Well, right now there are some techniques that are for retouching that are very, very hot. One of them is, well, there's two different ways to do it. I'm going to show you two different ways, but in this particular lesson I'm going to show you the first one, which is how to add contrast to the skin. So one method is to apply a very, very, very high radius unsharp mask. And it's very, very simple to do, and it has a pretty decent effect. I mostly use a different technique, but I'm going to show you this one too because some people like it better. This one, I guess the advantage is it seems to mostly, on an image like this that has a very simple background, it seems to apply most of the effect just to your subject and not the background as much, where the second technique I'm going to show you does apply it, over the whole image. You have to decide which one you like best. But here's how it works. Basically, you go to Filter, Sharpen, and you go to Unsharp Mask, and it brings up the Unsharp Mask filter. You're going to use a huge radius. I just drag it all the way to the right, completely over to the right, and of course that super sharpens and destroys your image. So then you drag the amount slider all the way to the left. I usually leave the radius somewhere down, 3 or 4 or 5, something like that, something kind of low. Alright, so now basically we have the amount set at 0 and the radius at some ridiculous amount. And then what you're going to do is just raise up this amount a little till you start seeing contrast appear in the image, maybe somewhere in there. Let's turn off preview and look. You can see, look how it's getting contrasty. It's basically making the highlights a little hotter and the shadows, a little more intense. So it's kind of, and look right here. See how it just kind of makes the highlights pop, but then again it makes some of the areas darker in the image as well. You can see her hair getting a little darker over here. So that's kind of one popular technique for creating it, and it's so simple to do. Now, here's something you can do. So let's say that you try this one. Let's add a little bit more amount so you can see it there. All right, maybe even up to there. Ooh, 22%. Yeah, somewhere that's really popping it. That looks pretty good there, doesn't it? All right, looks very, very Hollywood, very glamorous. So, click OK. And let's just say you go, okay, well, I like what it did to the skin, but it maybe tweaked the hair, made the hair a little darker or something. Well, you could go to the history brush, get yourself a good sized brush, and go and paint back in. Look how much lighter the hair is coming in right there. I'm going to just hold the mouse down the whole time so I can show you a before and after. Of course, I could have just duplicated the layer to do that as well, but I didn't, so we're going to cheat and do this. Now, I'm going to do an undo and a redo. See? Look at that. Let me just pull it up a little so you can see. Look at her hair on this side. So you can see how the contrast really darkened the hair, but we were able to bring the original contrast of the hair back, but then we have that kind of sculpting and things that are nice on the face. So there's another way of doing it. Now in the next lesson I'm going to show you a slightly more complicated way, and it's a slightly different effect. It's the one I use the most, but I want to be able to show you both because I want to give you as many things in your retouching bag of tricks as is possible.